I'm here with Rukaiyah Adams with 1803 Fund, and we're in her office here in Northeast Portland. Thank you for
This
agreeing
is
to be
exciting.
here. Yeah, so just so kind of my audience knows that we've been friends for a little while, inspired like the rest of Portland for your TEDx Portland talk on a love letter to Portland. But what really you kind of captured my heart when you agreed to come in to talk to our Blueprint Founder Circle group, and you were really vulnerable and kind of really challenged the group to ask you about all the sacrifices you made to kind of get to where you were. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, I was trying to think back to where we met. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I feel like I've just known you.
yeah, and we've watched each other, but it's really been the past couple of years that we've formed a friendship. So,
Oh, I know where we met. When your office, was it in Old Town?
Yeah.
At some point? Yes.
that was a long time ago. Yeah.
There was a book launch or something. Your office hosted a book launch, and I came to that.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
It just occurred.
There we go. Okay, so I think a lot of Portlanders have heard a little bit about this vision for Albina Vision in Northeast Portland, and really what a lot of people haven't heard is like this is a vision of the future and innovation for all of Portland and impacts Oregon. I think some of my CEO peers kind of see it as like this incredible thing for the Black community in Portland, but don't really see themselves in it. And so I wonder if you could kind of bring to life like how it's so much bigger than just like a 90 block area of Northeast Portland.
Yeah, so the Albina Vision Trust work is different from the 1803 work.
Which funds billions of dollars into this vision.
Right.
Yeah.
So generally Albina Vision works in Lower Albina, which is Tillamook Street South.
Okay.
But Albina, the city, and Albina, the neighborhood, really is much larger. It basically runs from the Steel Bridge to St. John's, from the Willamette River to maybe 2 miles east of that.
Mm-hmm.
More or less the original city of Albina. So our scope is all of Albina, not just Lower Albina. And we're capital providers to our friends who are leading in Albina Vision, to Williams and Russell, to some other work that's happening around town. So we are both investors and increasingly developers now that you know that we've acquired some land.
Mm-hmm.
And our community partners are community advocates. They're doing a lot of planning work that we are riding on the coattails of. They're doing investment work, and then over time they'll be the owners of a lot of the real estate that we're developing and they're developing.
Mm-hmm.
So the work is, it requires both the capital that we bring and the kind of fiduciary expertise,
Mm-hmm.
together with the folks who really understand the boots on the ground, the local political climate, all of those parts. So we work in tandem, but I would say that our work really depends on their success. So I want to be clear about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we could have raised 1803 if those folks doing all of the work on the ground hadn't already really had years of success before I wrote the business plan. Okay, so what we're trying to do is revitalize the original neighborhood of Albina, not just Lower Albina. And it's a neighborhood that nearly every Portlander encounters at some point during the week. Whether you're driving on I-5 or you're crossing one of the bridges in Lower Albina.
Blazers game.
Laser games, right? Going to the Lloyd Center. A lot of us come in contact with Lower Albina. Max runs through Lower Albina. If you're going east, all of those trains go through that part of the city. There's a bus transit center. So
Waterfront. Yeah,
tons of people, East Bank, Esplanade.
Yeah.
So a lot of people touch that neighborhood. So having it revitalized means that the entire city, from that standpoint, will touch it and really benefit from it. And I'd like to say this directly to the city. We are designing to center Black people, but not only for Black, right? And there are nuances in that. For example, if we light the streets with a low bid contract approach, then almost all of the lowest bids will be blue spectrum light. And
what does that mean? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so blue spectrum light, when it hits brown skin at night, actually makes our skin darker. It doesn't illuminate our skin. So this is an example of centering us and making us feel safe might create outcomes that you wouldn't expect. Just the color of the streetlights. Like, we'd prefer a yellow spectrum light and not a blue spectrum light. So those little details, you know, Black culture is a front porch culture. It's not a back porch culture. And so we'll be designing for people to be on their stoops, right? And to be in the neighborhood and to have conjoining spaces. Another aspect of the culture is that almost everything we own has a double use. Our backyards are for recreation, they're for gardening, they're for partying, they're for funeral services in the summer. And so public spaces in an urban construct have to have more than one use, right? And they have to be designed for that. So in that way, we'll be designing and centering Black culture and the Black experience, but it won't just be for us. We live in a really diverse city, and we certainly hope that the diversity of the city comes into the neighborhood. So it's really centering Black culture and people in the design, but it's not, I don't anticipate that it will be exclusively for us. The other way that a lot of people will benefit is the access to the river. I mean, when we get Albina Riverside.
You just acquired that property, right?
We did at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yes. And really on the east bank of the Willamette River, there are so few access points to the river. North of the Fremont Bridge is tough because that's a Superfund site and there are a lot of complexities.
Super industrial.
Right.
Yeah.
But south of the Fremont Bridge to basically Tillicum, there are a lot of opportunities to access the river, but there aren't very many actually. A few near Omsey, but north of Omsey there really aren't, and there are a lot of populations of color that live in the upper Willamette on the east bank, and so this will provide access to the river for the whole city. It also will clean up a lot of environmental problems that we've had in that area. So we're offering Albina Riverside as a gift to the city. And there's a nuance also I want to talk about what we're doing. Often in Black communities, we are the object of charity. So people will say, if we help those people, then we help everybody. That doesn't feel good to be those people, right? And I think that kind of thinking is meant to be generous, but it ends up landing
more white savior-y. Yeah.
So we call that enlightened self-interest, and often the person who is the enlightened one is the source of the charity versus the object. And instead, on Albina Riverside, we're saying we see that the city needs to change, and we believe it starts with us. So we're turning that enlightened self-interest on its head, and it's our enlightened self-interest to help the city.
Yeah. So before the video went rolling, you and I were talking about last year and this year, and I'm a really impatient person. I'm an entrepreneur, so that's like by definition you have to be really impatient, and I fit the mold very well. And so for folks who are like, okay, but what's, you know, this is great, but it's not, I'm not going to see the whole fruits of the labor for 10, 15, 20 years. I know you just launched Albina 1 that Colas built and all that, but like when Portland what's happening now, like that we can see and feel?
Right, so we will be activating Albina Riverside and the low end, that's the neighborhood just north of the school district property that we more or less bought a zip code in there. So we will be activating that with installations, with programming, with a bunch of stuff that we hope to attract the whole city to. Riverside's a little tougher because there are safety issues with getting there. There's a freight rail line that runs through there. But we will be activating it. But you're right on the time scale in that I'm trying to get us to think about time differently. We all think that the short term is really important and that our lives are the only thing that happens, but for African Americans, we know we're part of an arc of transformation, and that our lives are a little part of this 400-year effort to improve outcomes, and so our sense of time is a little bit different. My role is to get this started. Right? My role is to love your grandchildren. And to push us to think about building 1,000-year communities and to think about our families being here for more than just a few generations. So you're right in that I'm not rushing to try to have immediate solutions, because there's never been a time in Black history where we could think as a people beyond 10 years. Very few of us can visit the place where our great-grandparents lived, right? We don't know where many people who are related to us are buried. We don't even know our, genetic composition, many of us. And so having a community that is often itinerant and under-resourced and underpowered, honestly, say, we will be here in 1,000 years. The responsibility of stewarding the river and this place is ours too. And we are capable of thinking about time more expansively. That's a pretty radical set of statements. So the immediacy that I think a lot of us have become comfortable with doesn't inspire that particular group of people. To hear me say, we will be here in 1,000 years it's hard to imagine.
Right.
But
love that. It's a yes and. It's a yes and because
But you need wins, right?
Yeah, you need wins. Yeah.
But so the grain silo is great in that it has a billboard, right? So we could have movie nights, we could have ideas expressed there, right? Portland is what you make it. Could be that's a place where we could choose to offer space. So there are a lot of options for how we can be good partners to the city.